Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something I think we all struggle with, at least a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Consistency. It's one of those things that we know is crucial for just about anything we want to get good at or make real progress on, but, well, life, right?
Exactly.
Things get in the way, we get busy, we get distracted, and suddenly those best intentions kind of fall by the wayside. So we're diving into a podcast you sent, Unlocking Your Potential, the journey to self-development. And we'll pull out some of the best strategies to, well, I guess, become more consistent.
Right off the bat, this episode makes a great point. And it's something that I think trips a lot of people up. That whole like all or nothing mentality.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, if you miss a day at the gym, you just figure, oh, screw it, I've blown it, might as well give up.
Right. It's like we think consistency means being perfect. But, this episode, it really flips that idea on its head. It's like it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up,
Yeah.
even in small ways.
This reminds me of that old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's about those small, consistent actions, those little building blocks.
It's like that concept of compound interest, actually. Small, regular investments might not seem like much at first.
Right.
But over time,
Yeah.
the growth is significant, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same idea with personal growth.
That is such a good analogy. So, okay, we're seeing that consistency isn't about being superhuman. It's about those little things we do consistently. So, where do we even start?
Well, the episode actually offers a really practical tip, and it makes so much sense. Break down those big, maybe scary goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going.
So, for example, let's say your goal is to eat healthier. Now, instead of doing a complete diet overhaul, which, let's be real, is a recipe for disaster for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's way too overwhelming.
Right. Start with something small, like maybe just swap one unhealthy snack for a nutritious one each day.
That is so much less intimidating.
Totally. And the cool thing is, as you get comfortable with that one change, you can gradually add more.
It's like you're building a habit one step at a time. You're not trying to change everything overnight.
Exactly. And you know what else this episode talks about
Mm-hmm.
that I think is brilliant? Non-negotiable habits.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Tell me more. What are non-negotiable habits exactly?
So these are those small but impactful things you do every day, no matter what.
Okay.
So they become so ingrained in your routine that it's almost automatic.
I think I need an example. What would be a non-negotiable habit?
The host of this episode, actually, they talk about their own experience with journaling. And they say they make it a non-negotiable habit to journal for at least 5 minutes every morning,
Okay.
even if they don't feel like it. And you know what? Over time, it became this cherished ritual, this way to start the day with intention.
I love that. So we've got breaking down goals, we've got these non-negotiable habits, but let's be honest. Staying motivated, that can be the real challenge, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I noticed that the episode brings up accountability, which is something I think we all need a little bit of help with.
Accountability can be huge, yeah. It's like, when you've got that workout buddy,
Yes, someone who keeps you going.
they make you show up, even when you'd rather stay on the couch.
So in a way, accountability, it's like having a cheerleader in your corner, someone who helps you stay committed.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, it doesn't have to be a formal thing. It could be a friend, family member, even an online community. Anyone who shares similar goals and can offer that support.
That makes a lot of sense. But, we've got to be realistic here. We're not perfect.
Definitely not.
We're all going to have those days where we slip up or we just don't feel like it. And I'm glad that this episode actually acknowledges that. They talk about embracing imperfection.
I think that's so important, because so often we beat ourselves up when things don't go perfectly. But setbacks, they're not failures. They're opportunities to learn and grow.
Yeah. Instead of getting discouraged, we can ask ourselves, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I adjust my approach? It's a much more helpful way to look at it. And honestly, a much kinder way to treat ourselves.
It's like shifting from self-criticism to curiosity. And,
Yeah.
The episode actually gives a great tip for dealing with those inevitable bumps in the road.
I'm all ears.
They suggest having a plan B,
Oh, I like that.
like anticipating potential obstacles and having a backup strategy ready to go.
So if something throws you off track, you're not completely derailed. You've got a way to get back on course. That's smart.
It is. It's like you're being proactive rather than reactive. And, speaking of staying on track, another thing that can help with motivation is tracking your progress.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Sometimes we get so caught up in the big picture that we forget to acknowledge those little wins along the way.
And those little wins, they can be really motivating.
For sure. It's like creating a visual reminder of how far you've come, no matter how small the steps. It could be as simple as using a journal, a checklist, or even an app. Just something to see those little wins add up.
It's about seeing that progress. And, the episode even suggests celebrating those milestones, no matter how small.
Oh, I love that. I think we often forget to celebrate the little things.
Celebrating those wins, it's like a little reward for all your hard work. It helps you stay motivated. And, well, it feels good too.
Right. We should all be celebrating more often. But, okay, bringing it back to the heart of this deep dive, the episode really hammers home that consistency is the key to, well, everything.
To unlocking your potential, for sure.
Exactly. It's not about finding that one magic solution or secret hack. It's about building a system that supports your goals, a system that incorporates those small wins, embraces imperfection, and celebrates every step of the journey. And the best part, you have the power to create that system.
You don't have to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. You can start right now.
With one small step, one consistent action. And you know what? That's exactly what we're going to dive into next. So stay tuned as we explore some actionable strategies to help you harness this whole idea of consistency and, well, unlock your potential. It's going to be good.
Welcome back. I'm really enjoying this episode, It's packed with great advice, but it doesn't just focus on the practical stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It digs into the mindset, like how our thinking can really help or hinder our progress when it comes to consistency.
Right. It's not just about what we do, it's also about how we think about the whole process.
Exactly. And there's this part where they talk about having a growth mindset.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's like believing you can always learn and grow, right?
Yeah, that's it. And having that kind of mindset, it's essential for building consistency because it helps you see challenges and setbacks, not as failures, but as opportunities to learn.
That's so true. It takes the pressure off needing to be perfect,
Totally. It allows you to embrace the messiness of growth.
And there was that part about self-compassion too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Self-compassion, that's so important for staying consistent because it allows you to be kind to yourself when you inevitably stumble.
We all stumble, right? It's part of being human.
Exactly. And instead of beating ourselves up over it, which, let's be honest, we've all done, Ball.
Oh, for sure. Guilty as charged.
We can choose to be understanding.
Yeah.
Like, we'd be understanding with a friend, right?
Right.
So why not offer ourselves that same kindness?
I love that. It's like that saying, treat yourself as you would treat a good friend.
Exactly.
It makes so much sense.
So, yeah, setbacks, they happen. In this episode, it actually gives us some practical advice for how to deal with them. Remember that Plan B idea?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Having a backup strategy, just in case things don't go as planned.
It's like you're anticipating those obstacles. It helps you stay on track.
And it can make those setbacks feel a lot less daunting. Speaking of staying on track, the episode also talks about celebrating those small wins. I think that's something we all need to do more of.
Oh, absolutely. Because those small wins, they're still wins, right?
Right. And they add up.
And celebrating those wins, it reinforces those positive behaviors.
And it releases dopamine, right? That feel-good chemical in our brains.
Exactly, which just makes you want to keep going.
It's like giving yourself a little pat on the back for all your hard work.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be just taking a moment to savor an accomplishment, acknowledging your effort, maybe treating yourself to something small.
I think the key takeaway is that it should be a conscious practice. Like, we should actively acknowledge and celebrate those wins, no matter how small.
I agree, because ultimately those small wins, they lead to the bigger ones. And, something else this episode highlights that's important to remember. This whole journey of self-development, well, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, that's so true. It's easy to get caught up in wanting those quick results, but real change, lasting change, it takes time.
Right. It takes consistent effort.
The episode really encourages us to find that sustainable pace, that rhythm that we can maintain without burning ourselves out.
Right. It's about building those healthy habits, not just relying on bursts of intense effort that we can't keep up.
It's about embracing the journey, those ups and downs, and remembering that we're in this for the long haul.
I love that. It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm starting to think about all these amazing insights we've uncovered and, how we can put them into practice in our own lives.
That's a great segue. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to do exactly that.
Awesome.
We'll explore some practical strategies, when inspired by this episode. So stay tuned for those actionable tips to help you harness the power of consistency.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about the mindset, the importance of those small wins, but now let's get down to brass tacks. How do we actually make this whole consistency thing happen?
Right, yeah. It's time to put all this amazing advice into action. And I think a great place to start is with, that idea we touched on earlier, breaking down those big, maybe overwhelming goals into smaller, more manageable chunks.
That's a good one. It makes things seem less scary for sure.
Totally. So think about it. What's one goal you have? And how could you break that down into, like, bite-sized actions?
I'm a writer, so I'll use a writing example. Say your goal is to, I don't know, write a novel. That can feel pretty impossible if you're looking at the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, it's daunting.
But if you break it down, say, commit to writing just a page a day, or even a paragraph a day, suddenly it doesn't seem so impossible.
Exactly. And once you've got those smaller steps, you can turn them into those non-negotiable habits we talked about, those little things you do every single day, no matter what.
Right, those consistent actions that over time move you towards your goal.
It's about building that, that rhythm of progress. What could be one small but impactful habit that you commit to?
Oh, so many things. Meditating for 5 minutes, reading for 20 minutes, going for a walk.
The key is choose something that works for you, something you can actually stick with.
Right, it has to be realistic.
And then remember how we talked about accountability?
Right.
Having someone to share your goals with and, keep you motivated?
Yes, that can be so helpful.
So think about it. Do you have someone, a friend, a family member, maybe an online group, someone you can check in with regularly?
Having that support system can make such a difference. And let's not forget about celebrating those wins, no matter how small.
Oh yeah, those celebrations are important. And remember, tracking your progress can help with that. How are you going to visually capture those victories?
A simple spreadsheet, a habit tracking app, or even just a journal. Anything to see those wins adding up.
It's like you're creating that visual reminder of how far you've come.
Yeah.
All those small steps, they lead to big results.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. And one last reminder as we wrap up, this isn't about being perfect.
Right.
Setbacks are going to happen. It's normal.
It's part of the process. The key is we embrace those setbacks, we learn from them, and we keep going. Don't give up.
Persistence is key. So, inspired by this awesome podcast, let's leave our listeners with a little challenge. Think about one small, non-negotiable habit you can start today. Something that, even in a small way, moves you toward unlocking your potential.
It can be anything. Seriously. Just make it something you can stick with.
We believe in you, and we can't wait to see what you achieve.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And remember, you have the power to create lasting change, one consistent action at a time.